For an organization which was founded, the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, by a Silicon Valley pioneer, William Hewlett, which began its giving in the arts with a grant, two grants, one to the San Francisco Symphony and one to KQED, a media organization oh so long ago in 1967. We've watched for 40 years and supported in this evolution the arts with regards to music, digital media, dance, theater, and many more genres. And more recently, we've supported film and digital media. But what's centric is the live PA, performing arts experiences. I have been, both professionally and personally, a witness in the public explosion of arts and creativity in the digital world. It's been affecting and continues to affect paradigms. No, we're not having a fire. We're roasting beans. Affecting the paradigm from what is an artist, to distribution systems, to performances, to how you reach audiences, what's an individual artist, and how do we support in a digital world a culture of giving to culture. We're very excited to host this multifaceted forum, which we invited individuals, one who sits next to me, who work at the intersection of digital media and, as you look at the agenda, culinary arts, visual and performing arts, design writ large, education, public knowledge, to share their experiences and viewpoints of this exciting and fluid space. We hope you have come to be engaged, because it's going to be a 9 to 2 and some, to be curious, to ask questions, and we'll come away with some new discoveries and insights. Eskender, you left. Now I have to sing.
I think it's a bit too much, the incense. This is what we do in Ethiopia, is fresh roasted coffee. And I'm sorry, could you take this for me?
Who has just entered and sat next to me while I was doing my opening remarks and has just stepped away and is going to speak a little bit is our Nomadic Chef, and our first speaker for the day is Eskender Aseged.
Well, my name is Eskender Aseged. I'm from Ethiopia. Hello, everyone. Okay, sorry, thank you very much. I never spoke in front of a mic, so this is the first one. I started Radio Africa and Kitchen about 3.5 years ago. Maybe I should sit there. I'm sorry. All right. So started about 3.5 years ago in my garage. And the reason was after years of probably 10, 15 years wanting to open a restaurant and not having enough money. And one day I told my friends, well, you know, I can't wait forever, so I'm going to open a restaurant. Where? In my garage. They all laughed. I said, what do you have? Well, I have a few plates, and I have a few forks and knives, and I have a little garden that I grow vegetables and herbs. Mm-hmm. And I started doing it every other Thursday. The idea was trying to sit down on one big table and just bring on all kinds of people. And there's no menu. You just start bringing all the food we cook. And that kind of caught a fire. And here we are now. I'm speaking in front of a lot of people. I'm sorry, like this is very bad, but you know, just like I come from a very small town in Ethiopia, hardly more than 10 people spoke in front of. So that was kind of, I've always been sort of like an underground, you know, kind of. But that's a brief history.
So tell me a little bit about the ceremony this morning with the coffee roasting, and if you could tell us a little bit about why that's important and what's the ritual around that?
The roasting of the coffee is an everyday ceremony in Ethiopia that our mothers did every day. Usually about 7, 8 people get together, and then they share ideas. They talk about the daily issues. Mm-hmm. And they get to enjoy freshly roasted coffee. And in fact, my mother never had any coffee roasted older than 1 day. So that's That's how finicky people in Ethiopia are, yeah.
Take that, Pete, and Starbucks.
That's good, yeah. Well, that's right. But and also the idea is it also it takes time.
Right.
It's the roasting process, the grinding, and everything. It just brings in lots of good energy around the table, and instead of just ordering coffee. And the idea of to go is kind of never heard of in Ethiopia. So it's because then people are just drinking for the caffeine or for the alcohol of it, and instead of actually having a ceremony, having a life kind of thing. So,
Eskender, for many incredibly gifted chefs, the typical road is, as you started to talk about, is to try and find capital to have your own restaurant. And how is it that did the internet play any sort of role in helping you make this dream of being a nomadic chef and not having to have a one physical space, stand in your way?
It does. I think the internet is probably without the internet, I would have not been in here because number one, the way the restaurant started is, I think this is my belief always been, is you could start pretty much anything with no money or with very little money, and then just start working with the one product you have, just beautiful and being insistent. And that's basically what happened 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. Probably most people probably didn't like most of the food I prepared, but then it was just an idea they came in. But then it's more of the experimental, the work, the traveling, the experimenting. So in other words, it's more like a school. You go to school and you don't just think you fail because you didn't make it the first day or something like that. Right. A job and a work also, I think it's the same thing, is any business can be started with a small, just very focused kind of idea and slowly grow into a bigger event. And in my case, that's what happened. And then especially internet was, I'm not a big technology kind of guy because, but the internet technology really helped a lot because.
In what ways?
In what ways? People, we no longer depend on those traditional media such as newspaper or trying to get the press come into. Right. So people could talk about amongst each other. So that kind of freed up lots of room for small guys like us trying to, survive or do something. In that case, I think internet is a very, very, very great idea.
Is there something that there are a number of folks not only who work in various areas of the arts and culture, but also work in grant making. And is there a way are there ways that we should think as investors in art writ large and culture that would be helpful to artists like yourself? I mean, I really do see you, though you keep saying it's survival. I think we all we got bills to pay. We get that. But what you do is a way of sensory conversation. And I think many of you have already had a taste of that, yes? Of how wonderful it is. And that's where it goes from being mundane, like I got to eat and it's nutrition, to something that's more than that. And it's quite sublime. So I'm curious how you would answer that. How
I would answer,
we be
I think,
helpful?
In terms of the philanthropist, I think most often people pour in too much money. Well, I don't want to say too much money. So much money on, I don't want to be too judgmental, but in a trendy way, oh, here's the art, here's the painting, and instead of looking at a variety of ideas, small ideas, it could be something unheard of. It doesn't have to be a sculpture or painting or music, but something unheard of. So just looking into those specific targets and just supporting slowly instead of. I see it. I'm from Ethiopia, and I see some funds being poured in Ethiopia. Just some money just being poured, but you don't see any kind of you don't see any change. I think instead what needs to happen is probably to go grassroots, local. You know, what's happening in the mission, what's happening in Noe Valley, what's happening, those like targets. Okay, we're gonna take this portion and look at how people are doing business, maybe educate them, maybe how to do it better, that kind of stuff. So we need professional or talented people to look into those specific areas and provide the money. I think that's the one I see from my side. One of the solutions, I think. I don't know.
Eskender, would you be willing to take a few, 2 or 3 questions?
Absolutely, I'm now.
Well done.
Sorry, I've just been like cooking all week.
Hi, I'm Jill.
Hi, Jill. How are you?
I'm good. I work for Social Edge, and it's an online community for social entrepreneurs. And one of the things that we do on our site is we try to tell the stories of these entrepreneurs and their struggles, what they've done, and what they, what's worked and what hasn't. And in your biography, it talks a little bit that you say the Radio Africa and kitchen is like storytelling. So I thought, could you talk a little bit more about the stories that you're telling and how you get that out to the people?
Sure. The name, can I start with the name first? Radio African Kitchen started, again, 4 years ago when I was trying to give a name. I could have given it just someone's name or a country's name. Most often people say Asmara or like San Francisco Cafe. I wanted to make something more sense maybe. So I was trying to go back the way I grew up in Ethiopia. And I remember growing up as kids, we used to listen to African radio, many stations of African, and mainly it's music and soccer matches if we were lucky, if the African Cups. So that was the only entertainment we had, just the radio, a few kids, usually 4 or 5 kids. And during that, what's important is we had our supper. Our supper is, again, very, very simple. Usually it would be a roasted garbanzo beans or barley. That's it. There was nothing packaged nor made a day before. It was just that day. Our mothers would roast something. Okay, I got to run. My friends are waiting for me. So as we listened to the radio, to the music or to the soccer match, we would share those snacks. And we would compare, oh, your mom made today a better one, that kind of conversation, which was sweet to me. And I could remember how happy I was in a way of like how grounded I was. And after living 20 years in here, I was starting to lose sort of, not in a bad way, of course, because, we have a different society, different social structure. We work a lot and we don't spend time just with ourselves or with good food with the family. So the name started, Radio Africa and kitchen. We're going to start that sort of like music, conversation, and then kitchen not far from it. So it just around it. So that's how the name started. And I forgot the main question.
The storytelling part of it. How does that play into your business, the story?
The stories, I think I'm trying to combine my story, my experience, the social responsibility, and business together. Basically, I love to cook. I love people, I love to cook. And I was wondering how to make money off of it by cooking. And it just worked fine for me because even if it doesn't work, I got nothing to lose. That's my mentality about 4 years ago, or years back, actually. So I kept doing it, and people liked it. And then on top of it, we tried to do a sustainable business, meaning getting organic as much, wild fish as much, and beside that, taking care of employees, taking care of neighbors. The sort of the way sustainable, I think, right now, people think just food only, green only. I think it's the whole thing, the whole universe is in it. The idea of living without leaving anyone behind. So whether it's the fisherman, the farmer, my employee, the land, the people, my neighbors around, if they're in trouble, if they need more herbs from my garden, that kind of stuff. Like if they need more, so that's how Radio Africa operates.
Thank you for the great question.
Yeah.
We have time for one more question.
One more.
My name is Romana Mitra. Shireen invited me to this program, and I'm very honored to be here.
Put the mic,
can you hear me?
Don't quite eat the mic, but put the mic close.
We have more food there.
Well, what you're talking about reminds me of something I experienced in my culture. I grew up in Calcutta, India, and we had a lot of very good food. It's a very food-oriented culture, and also very music and dance and poetry-oriented culture. So we used to have lots of get-togethers where people would gather around good food, but also share music, participate with music and poetry and so forth. And it's something that I don't find here. And I started talking to Shireen about this as part of the foundation world in supporting arts and cultures. Maybe you can think about putting together programs that cultivate this theme of people hosting programs around food and music and arts in their homes. And it's interactive, it's participatory. You know, one of the big themes of the web is that it's interactive. It's not a one-way media anymore. That's just my comment, I guess.
Well said.
Thank you. I answered that.
Eskender, thank you so much for sharing some of your story. I know that he will be here for the day, and if you have any questions or would like to speak to him more, you're of course welcome to do that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much again. Sorry for my